I didn't give this a chapter title. Never mind. We are on a new chapter on my book, Thriving at Nature's Pace. It's about a new approach to climate change. I'm reading it with my mum, Eleanor. She's been wonderful, actually. She's been listening to it all along, asking some questions along the way. A bit baffled over some of it, not because of her, but maybe because my writing wasn't that clear. So, but actually, it's a very good read. So I recommend it, and please recommend it for me. And just as a short thing, it's basically talking about how we build communities, and to do that, we need to think about it with nature as part of our community. And in order to do that, we need to address how we use nature's resources, in particular, oil and gas and coal that drives climate change. And so that's how we get to climate change. And then it offers a mechanism by which we can actually leave them in the ground and introduce a new money to be paid for doing it. And that's what we call a Thrive coin. And that basically is nature's money. It's a bit like pocket money from your parents when you were young. Your parents give to you for out of their generosity and love. So that's one way to think about what Thrive coins are. And of course, for that, you need to be nice to them, like, you have to clean up the place and do the dishes and those sort of things as well. So there you go. And that's why we leave the resources instead of keep messing it up. And we are on the third part of the book. This is called Emergent Economics. And if you think about a situation where you're at home, there's an economics at home too. It's about how we share things with each other. And emergent economics is about how we don't need a set of rules printed stuck onto the fridge door to say, you must do this, you must do that. But everybody just kind of comes together. And the whole economy, the whole sharing of what we need and what we do and how we have fun together and have joy, all comes about. So that's emergent economics, and it's called Economics at Nature's Pace. So there you go. So this section is on emergent economics. The climate movement doesn't talk about the likely shape of the modern economy. This makes the subject an elephant in the room. I'm just going to say this is looking at it, a little bit longer chapter, so I'm going to split it up. I'm not going to read the whole thing today. We had the introduction to it, so I'll read a little bit of it. So I'll start again. This section is on emergent economics. The climate movement does not talk about the likely shape of the modern economy. This makes the subject an elephant in the room. By not talking about it, it creates an illusion that the economy will merrily continue unchanged. It reinforces the pretense that as long as energy comes from renewable sources, cars will be the same in the streets, children will learn the same things at school, and businesses will continue the same march forward. However, this picture is entirely incompatible with the idea that climate change is an existential threat. As an existential threat, it is also unprecedented opportunity. Climate change is nature's force, driving a paradigm-shifting transformation in economics. For young people, their gift of being born into this moment is their chance to shape what comes next. Their presence in a world in flux is their authority to pioneer a new economy, one that leapfrogs conventional wisdom and redefines what progress means. You know what? I think that's a lot in there, so I'm actually going to stop at this point because there's a lot there. So it's basically, just to kind of summarize it a bit, this part is really talking about how everything is going to change. If we think about at the moment today, and I was on this messaging with some friends today earlier about the war in Iran. What it has done is pushed up energy prices. And that has made natural gas, much more expensive. What people don't realize is that natural gas goes into making our fertilizers, which goes into growing our food. So that changes that economy completely. So we're going to find problems with our food. About 70% of the grains that we grow goes into feeding animals. The cows, the beef, and the pork, and the chickens, and those sort of things that we have, a lot of it goes into that. So that makes our meat and our milk and our cheeses and everything more expensive in that way. And a lot of all of this is setting up a tension between China and the US, because a lot of this oil, which is being shipped through the Strait of Hormuz, goes to China. And China makes the ingredients to pretty much all of the antibiotics in the world. So all of the antibiotics, they also make pretty much all of the vitamin C, pretty much all of the precursor chemicals that we need in order to make our medicines. And so that's the economy that we face. And what's going to happen around this is all going to change along. So at the root of all of this conflict are two things. One is kind of a sense that we have to get rid of Iran because they have their ambitions to have nuclear weapons. The other is internally, Iran itself has been having a lot of trouble. And that trouble has been because they have been running out of water. They have been having very long droughts. And that has made people feel the pressures of where they are a lot more, make them protest against their own authorities, and that's given the Americans and Israelis the opportunity for them to bomb them in that way. So climate is that underlying current that pushes it just that little bit to the edge, not quite over it necessarily, but then someone else will come and push it over it. And so the whole economy will then change. And that's why this emergent economics part that I'm talking about is important, because it says no matter how the world outside is, you with your community in your home still have an economy, and you can allow that to emerge. And when you do that, you can connect with others, your neighbors and your people around the world, and you can actually rebuild what can happen, what you would need. So I just want to summarize it with that, pause it here, and we'll go on again tomorrow. So, Mum? So, Mum said, Okay, so wishing everybody a really fantastic day. Love you lots. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. I'm reading my book, Thriving at Nature's Pace.
Bye-bye.
It's about new approach to climate change with my mum. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, yeah.